Hello to all friends and fans of the pulp, paper and bioproducts industries. Welcome to our exciting ANDRITZ Spectrum podcast, where today our subject will be the circular bioeconomy at pulp mills. I am Mark Rushton and I will be your host. It is said that necessity is the mother of all invention. And as we find ourselves in what some commentators are calling a climate emergency, we all need to be looking at ways to lessen our impact on the planet and to help mitigate climate change. We need more innovation, inventions, and new products to help us to do this. ANDRITZ has already carried out a lot of work in reducing emissions, closing loops, and developing new technology for replacing products made using fossil fuels. But now it's reinforcing its ambition with the launch of the CircleToZero initiative. The initiative is encouraging all pulp and paper industry players to really push the boundaries in this area of reducing impact on the planet and, most importantly, creating new innovative bioproducts. Today we've gathered circular bioeconomy experts from different areas of the industry to talk about circularity at pulp mills and to give some concrete examples of CircleToZero in action. So we are delighted to be joined today by our guests from various locations across the world. We have Jukka Kantola, who's the founder of the World Bioeconomy Forum. We have Naveen, Chenna, who's head of business and technology development, ANDRITZ. Janne, Rantala, vice president, biofuels and green chemicals, Veolia. And Matti, Toivonen, vice president of technology, Metsä Fibre. Welcome, gentlemen. Great to have you with us.
Thank you. Good to be in here.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi.
Excellent. The first question, I think, let's go to Jukka Kantola, founder of the World Bioeconomy Forum. Jukka, tell us briefly about the forum and then give us an overview of the importance of the circular bioeconomy sector as you see it.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. And I'm glad to be here in this podcast. My name is Jukka Kantola. Few words about the World Bioeconomy Forum. So the forum itself was established in 2018. So this is already the fifth edition as such. And within the forum, we think that there's no one size fit all bioeconomy. Instead, there are always the bioeconomies which are based on their own strengths. And that's the reason we are then having these forums or let's say annual conferences in the various locations. Within the forum, we also think that there's no strict sort of let's say definition for the bioeconomy. So that's the reason we have derived that it's better to analyze what's the status of the bioeconomy. And for that purpose, we have created the four-pillar structure. Which consists the communication with the various stakeholders. The first pillar is the bioeconomy, people, planet, policies. Second pillar is about the corporate leaders and the financial world. Third pillar, bioproduct around us, and then the fourth pillar is looking to the future. By this lens, we can say what's then the status of the bioeconomy. And we are always concluding that specific season by the annual declaration, and that will be then published during the last day of the annual conference, as we did in Brazil, as we are going to do here in Finland. So that's what we do. We are then offering these services for all the interested parties, and then if you would like to dive deeper on this, then we are having the membership programs that we are having in-depth discussion, and we are very happy that also ANDRITZ is our member of that setup.
Okay, you mentioned that one of the main pillars of the forum is bioproducts around us. So increasingly we're hearing this word substitution, these words substitution effect. So can you tell us about the substitution effect and how bioproducts help to mitigate climate change?
Yeah, I think that we all know that the bioproducts do have multiple roles, and they are sort of good, let's say, references for the bioeconomy from the various point of view. That they are based on renewable resources, and they are most of the cases based on the sustainable feedstock, and they are recyclable. It's not at all the case for the products what we are using in an everyday use. But besides that, all which is coming even more important, or as important, is that the bioproducts are always superseding the fossil-based products. Once you are doing that, then you are reducing the dependence of the fossil future. So does that sound familiar? Is that the one what we are always talking about when talking about the mitigating the climate change? So within the industry, there is a wide, let's say, comprehension that these bioproducts do play a role. But what's the missing issue is that, for time being, they are not acknowledged within the policies.
Okay. But I think that all of us here know, and particularly all of us in the pulp and paper industry know that, and the chemicals industry increasingly, that bioproducts are pretty much vital now. We really need to be going down that road. Thank you very much for that, Jukka. So nice to have a helicopter view of what's going on within the whole forum there. So Naveen, turning to you, you have been instrumental in the formation of the ANDRITZ CircleToZero initiative. It's getting a lot of interest out there. Can you tell us more about the initiative, its aim and ambitions, and also give us an example of some of the work you're doing under the CircleToZero umbrella?
Yeah, thank you, Mark, for the question, and I'm also glad to be here. CircleToZero is our approach to turn customers' zero waste and zero emission visions and targets into sustainable reality, where both financial and environmental value creation can meet. And I think that we all know and recognize that this is not without its challenges. But the fact is that pulp and paper industry plays a key role in the transformation towards a fossil-free economy. Most notably, we call it bioproducts industry nowadays. And we have three approaches in the CircleToZero, and where we take this quite seriously. First, it is as a company, it is our responsibility to enable customer visions, and we take this very seriously. As an equipment, process, and automation supplier, we have to serve our best to our customers. Then we are continuously introducing new technologies that are sustainable environmentally and economically to our customers. And we are trying to define this journey as a shared journey. This will be very important that we cannot face the challenges as an equipment supplier or our customers as a product manufacturers. But we have to work together to solve the common problems. And at the end, it would solve the problems that exist in the pulp and paper industry. We have taken a three-phase approach in this CircleToZero initiative. It took quite a long time on framing the sentences, what needs to be done, prepare a strategy, how this could be done, and finally we came that this shared journey could be, in the first step, less side streams produced with optimized processes. We are talking about an existing pulp mill that runs quite well, but we need to try to create the less side streams possible. In the second step, we need to check if the side streams that a pulp mill produce could be utilized inside the mill. And that would be, of course, better in a financial and environmental way, that it doesn't need to be transported outside the mill. If we can do that and cannot achieve complete utilization of side streams inside the mill, we can also look into new value-added products from side streams, and that could be sold outside the pulp and paper mill for additional revenue generation. And I think over this call we will discuss about different side streams that we are talking. One namely I can take is a sulfuric acid plant that exists in the modern mills now. We are building a world biggest sulfuric acid plant in a pulp mill in Klabin, where the CNCG waste gases can be converted to sulfuric acid, and that sulfuric acid can be used all over the mill. This will reduce sodium losses from the pulp mill quite significantly, sulfur emissions, but also the recyclability of chemicals in the pulp mill will increase many fold. Finally, we don't need to transport the many truckloads of sulfuric acid to be used in the pulp mill. And I think this is one concrete example, but we will have a lot of examples as we discuss today.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Now we're going to move on to Matti Toivonen, who works as Vice President of Technology for Metsä Fibre. A very interesting job you have there, Matti, if I may say so. I follow Metsä Fibre's work quite closely. I've been to Äänekoski, your amazing bioproduct mill, a few times now. There's always something going on there. So can you tell us a little bit more about the strategy of the Metsä Group when it comes to the circular bioeconomy at your bioproduct mills?
Yeah, sure, Mark. Thanks. I've also visited our Äänekoski mill a couple of times, and I strongly agree with you that there's always something interesting going on in there. When it comes to our bioproduct mill concept, we of course start thinking from the point that we should be able to make valuable products from our raw material, which is Nordic wood mainly, and that's the whole idea behind the concept, so that we are able to get the best out of our raw material. Of course, energy is one of the key elements in the pulping industry, and I would say all the industries. We are already on the surplus side when it comes to the energy, but still we want to be better in the efficiency in that side, and also we are getting rid of all the fossil fuels in the bioproduct mills. That's already done in our Äänekoski mill, and also our other mills will be in that stage before 2030. That's our target. So we are really going there. Then when we think about the waste streams or side streams, whatever you want to call them, that's really important part of the bioproduct mill concept. And the idea is that we are able to find good uses for all the streams that are coming out from the mills, meaning that we are able to run the mills with the zero waste level, so to say. Means that all the streams coming out from the mill can be used for the next processes, and something clever can be done out of them. Then also we have other sustainability targets, and maybe the most interesting and the challenging one at the moment is that we are looking for the concept of water emission-free pulp mill. And we have done cooperation together with ANDRITZ on that project, and it's really long-term target, and there's still some needs to be fulfilled before we are there. But it's good to have challenging enough targets so that you keep the development going on.
Excellent, thank you for that. And you personally, what is your favourite bioproduct from a bioproduct mill?
Tricky one. Pulp is great. That's the heart, and that's the main product still coming from the bioproduct mill. But maybe my favorite is still energy. That's not a product, but we need energy, and that is needed also in the future. That's my favorite.
Yeah. Certainly needed in the near future, in fact, the way things are at the moment. Fantastic.
That's so true, yes.
Thank you for those great answers. Excellent. We're now moving on to Janne Rantala, Vice President, Biofuels and Green Chemicals, Veolia. Your job title really hits the nail on the head when talking about the bioeconomy, Janne. Can you please tell us about your role and the type of work that you're doing in the sector?
Absolutely. I'll start a little bit background. I've been 20 plus years in let's say the green chemistry, renewable chemistry sector, and just to answer your previous question, what's my favorite co-product, byproduct from a mill? I would say it's turpentine, because of the versatility on how far you can actually take it to different kind of let's say chemicals, perfumes, the vitamins, etc. But that's from my previous life when I used to work with these so-called pine chemicals. Transferring to what I'm doing today is obviously I joined Veolia early 2021, and while I was attracted to Veolia was obviously, let's say, Veolia's purpose of the ecological transformation. So basically, the whole usage of renewable resources, circular economy, that's always been close to my heart, as I've been, even if I'm a pulp and paper engineer from the education, I've always been working with, let's say, the green chemicals and green chemistries, and currently I'm working in Veolia's business development team, where we have, let's say, the objective to develop new energy or new chemical feedstock sources from waste or residues. And I've been part of this, what we call the Odin project within Veolia, which is obviously a methanol recovery project from the craft process. Obviously, methanol is formed during the process, and it has been obviously burned this far, and I'll talk a little bit later about the process of recovering it. Besides, let's say, the discussion with the pulp and paper processes, we are looking into also other kind of process technologies, heavy industries in general. I think the themes are related to carbon capture, biogas, e-methanol, other co-products, byproducts, which can be utilized on industrial scale. And of course, what fascinated me with Veolia was not only the strategy and the purpose, but also, let's say, the resources available to make all of these things happen. And that's why there's a lot of nice words always in the word, but actually people doing something about it is a second thing. And that's kind of what intrigued me with Veolia, was that the resources were made available to kind of get things happening.
I totally agree with you on that. You hear a lot of words, you do, but then when something actually starts to happen, it's very impressive, really is. And it's got to be said that the pulp and paper industry are doing fantastic things now in that sort of area. We're going to stay with you, actually, Janne, and we'll talk about the very exciting new announcement that was just recently came out. Veolia has ordered a 12,000-ton-a-year biomethanol plant from ANDRITZ that will be installed next to Metsä Fibre's Äänekoski bioproduct mill in Finland that we were talking about earlier. Startup is scheduled for 2024. Can you tell us a bit more about this important project and also the importance of this business model, which sounds very intriguing?
Yes, absolutely. So I think first of all, I'd like to emphasize kind of this as a great example of collaboration between Veolia, but also an industrial partner like Metsä Fibre. So Metsä enables Veolia to build and operate a plant which utilizes Metsä's co-product, byproduct of methanol at their site. Also, let's say, providing Veolia with needed utilities and wastewater treatment services. So we're fully integrated partner with Metsä from that perspective. But of course, we need an industrial partner like ANDRITZ, who has the knowledge and capabilities of commissioning such a plant. Methanol has been existing, of course, and has been known as being a potential byproduct or co-product from the pulp mill for decades. But of course, let's say the impurities in the product have made it difficult for companies to utilize that potential. And of course, with the new technology, ANDRITZ has, let's say, allowed Veolia to purchase. It is possible to get to a really clean EMPCA quality methanol, which is a potential raw material for chemicals It can be used as a fuel. And of course, it's the basic chemical building block for many chemicals. So a lot of potential there. Of course, we will be responsible for operating the plant. We will also be responsible for selling and marketing the products as such. And of course, our intention clearly is that if this first plant is successful the way we intend it to be, that there will be more of these kind of plants in the future. So we see it as a significant potential globally to tap into a resource which has not been utilized before to the full extent. Of course, it's been used as a fuel, in internal fuel for a pulp mill, but like Matti said, the pulp mill is already has more energy than they need at their site, which means that being able to purify it gives it opportunities to be used in a lot of other applications.
As you say, this is going to be a very exciting space to watch, definitely in the future. Where else could you see these units being installed, do you think? Have you got any plans, any thoughts?
We have a lot of plans, obviously, but of course, you need to start looking at where the craft pulp mills are being built or are already existing. Of course, methanol is not dependent on the wood. You get methanol from all different wood sources, eucalyptus, birch, pine, spruce, and any pulp creates methanol of different quantities. So I think it's more about kind of building the business model so that you have the units in right locations and you can utilize the raw material potentially from multiple different mills going forward.
Yeah, it could well be truly global.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that. Very exciting. Matti, can you comment further on this move from Metsä Fibre's perspective?
Yeah, sure. From our perspective, this is actually quite a nice example of how we are willing and able to develop our bioproduct mill further on. As Janne said here, the methanol has been there for decades, and the traditional use has been that we have burned it in the pulp mills. And from our perspective, it's been, so to say, okay to do it like that. But the potential has of course been seen, and now when we had these discussions, it was also discussed internally. Should we do it by ourselves, or should we look for a partner here who is able to go on with this value chain? And in this case, it was seen that maybe it's better that someone else is doing it. We are moving into the value chains which are not so familiar for us, and Veolia has, as Janne said here, clear picture where to go with that, and that's why it turned out to be this way, and it's really nice that we can start this kind of cooperation, and we are getting a better use for the methanol from our mills, and maybe one day in the future we are able to use that purified methanol also in our own processes, and so that would be, of course, quite a good example of circular economy.
Absolutely, and again, right down to that central subject, circularity is a classic case of this working in action. Naveen, this is a really interesting business model. This is the sort of thing that you were talking about at the beginning, and it's a very interesting relationship between Metsä Fibre and Veolia. Can you comment on this partnership, and perhaps you can enlarge on other business models that could take place in the future between different parties at pulp mills?
Yeah, sure. I will just add on to the topics that Janne and Matti has raised. I couldn't agree more with their assessment on the Veolia and the Metsä partnership. And if I remember correctly, when Metsä wanted to build a pulp mill in Äänekoski, they specifically said it's a bioproduct mill. It doesn't mean that they produce all the bioproducts, but they actually create a platform for potential bioproducts to be extracted from the pulp mill, and therefore creates a proper and positive environment for the bioproducts. And I think this is really a great example for their first initial thoughts when they start to build a bioproduct mill in 2014, if I remember. But then when it comes to the Äänekoski and Metsä partnership, I think this is the simplest and the quickest way to look into the how the products could be marketed, how the products could be produced. And I agree with Matti that maybe pulp mill doesn't need to know the biomethanol markets, who should they sell it, and so on. Whereas on the other side, Veolia is quite experienced on that side. So instead of creating all the puzzle pieces in a pulp mill to a bioproduct mill, it would be better to get a value chain partner like Veolia and work together to convert some of the traditional side streams from the pulp mill to really bioproducts. And I think this collaboration is one of the best example. And from now on, I think it is not only for example, biomethanol, but other products as well from the pulp mill. If you look at side streams from the pulp mill, it doesn't need to be a pulp mill that actually own and operates new technologies in the future, but a value chain partner or a third party could work together with the pulp mill. Over the fence model or own and operate model could be good examples where the pulp mill would provide the utilities, provide the raw chemicals or raw materials to be refined, purified for a better value products or value added products, and the pulp mill can take the possible side streams from these new technologies, because the pulp mill have most of the technologies that could actually handle any side streams that would come from the new technologies. And when we look at in the future, I think it is the best case scenario for a pulp mill or a third party or value chain partners to work together, and including a technology and a equipment provider like us to be part of this sort of a consortium development, helping the industry to move towards more biocircular economy, in my opinion.
Great. Hey, we've asked the other guys, what's your favorite bioproduct, Naveen?
I would say methanol, sulfuric acid, and lignin, but there are many other potential that is coming through our CircleToZero initiative from ANDRITZ.
Excellent. Thanks. Brilliant. Jukka, it'd be really good to hear your thoughts on this from the World Bioeconomy Forum perspective. What do you think about this interesting move between these two companies? And maybe you could give us some perspective on how other bio industries are working out there and the partnerships being formed.
I thought you were asking also for me what's my favorite.
Yeah, I already know that, but why don't you tell us what it is?
All right.
No, tell us what it is now. Put us out of our misery.
It depends. There are so many. So okay, if I'm my villa, then it's okay. A burned log, that is even okay to one thing. But okay, now still in the winter time, it's okay to textiles.
Textiles.
Okay, but all in between. So it depends.
Good. Yeah. Textiles.
There's a great variety of these different type of products. So, but indeed, okay, very interesting to hear all these, okay, let's say insights that you just shared. That okay, and that okay, good sort of ecosystem. That okay, description. That okay, that we heard today about this. Okay, methanol and not other products. So okay, this is very very important to having the various stakeholders within the supply chain to be then engaged. Because then these value chains are getting stronger. And as was said by Matti, that entering the new value chains, that you need to learn out of it, that you cannot do this all by yourself. So that is an additional reason to have good partners in place. And this is a good showcase of of it. And this is not only the energy, it's not only the fuel, there are also the materials that which are then evolving, and sugar streams, that how you could then cultivate these further. So and these sugar streams are also available from the pulp mill operations. And I tend to say so that the pulp mill is sort of core for the bioeconomy in that respect, that this is, even though it is invented over 100 years ago, but it doesn't matter. It's also very same that when we are then talking about oil refining, and there is also a core that how you could then distinct and how you could then decompose the various elements from each other and cultivate these further. So this pulp mill is doing exactly so. It is energy efficient, and that is efficient way also to distinct that when it is the fibers, and when it is the lignin, or whether it is the sugar streams that which you can utilize for the various purposes. So this is really a platform thinking which is then required. And the beauty of all these is that they are based on sustainable sources, and then finally they are then replacing the fossil-based alternatives. And there we jointly do have some work to do. That when it comes to mitigating the climate change, the incentives do exist when it comes to what do you do with the forest, and you are putting the forest aside. That this is very much incentivized by the climate change policies. I would then ask that whether we should then, if there are these kind of incentives, why not having them also for the bioproducts, because they are playing a very important role in terms of the mitigating climate change. And this type of topics we are also talking within the World Bioeconomy Forum, and this is actually the reason that for this year we have selected the theme as World Bioeconomy Forum Talks on Climate. So also welcome to join to that discussion. But this was a very grateful discussion.
Great. Yeah, it's been a fantastic discussion. I'd just like to give the opportunity, everybody, just one last final comment. Maybe we could start with Matti. What do you think? Can you just sum things up?
Yeah, sure. So as discussed here, it's clear that we need new inventions. We need new ways to think, new processes to make this world better, and to make this planet to be a good place for us also in the future. And this is part of that job that we are daily doing in our duties, and that's really important goal for all of us to do, so that also our kids can live in this planet.
Excellent. Janne, anything?
Yeah, I think it's just amazing to see kind of the speed of development in the last, let's say, I would say even 5 years. I think I always quote that when I was in a commercial role, kind of renewable and green chemicals were nice to have, but nobody wanted to pay any premium for it. So it was more of a nice to have, but the world has changed. There's been a lot of happenings in the last years, and I think I just see the acceleration of the change, and it's great to be part of the change, and it's great to be part of the change with good partners.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And Naveen?
Yeah, I agree with Matti and Janne here, but to add it more, I think there are many opportunities in craft pulp and paper industry to really put the bioproducts and bioeconomy at its heart, and have more bioproducts that would be coming from the pulp and paper industry to produce the green biofuels or bioproducts to be used inside the existing market. And as Janne said, biopremium is something that people would pay now. But I would look that in a more positive way, that at the end of the day, this biopremium even doesn't need to be very specific for products, because the products have been changing, the market price and the things are changing. So it is essential that we are in a journey to convert of traditionally produced chemicals and bioproducts to bioproducts coming from a bioproduct resources. And I think the future is positive for every one of us and also our kids that to live in a society with peace and prosperity and with a good climate.
Great. Well, what an excellent discussion. Thank you, gentlemen. We've learned a lot there. We've learned a lot about the opportunities that there are for pulp producers, about closing loops, about creating new bioproducts. It's great to see that companies like Metsä are actually walking the walk, not just talking about it, which is fabulous to see. We've also learned that CircleToZero is a great new initiative from ANDRITZ that can be used to achieve this. And I say to all the listeners here, throw the challenges at Naveen. His team just lap them up. The team just loves to take on those challenges. And really what this all comes down to, the success of this really is about dialogue and conversations, or in one word, collaboration. This will be crucial to grasp the wealth of opportunities at stake and develop innovative business models together for sustainable solutions at pulp mills. So, the best of luck to all of you out there. Throw those challenges out and, let's get it all moving. So ANDRITZ is calling all of our valued listeners to action. If any of you have a particular or specific challenge you face, you're most welcome to contact our ANDRITZ experts directly by writing to, and here's an email address, CircleToZero@andritz.com. As we've said, they like a challenge and would be delighted to hear from you. You'll also find the email address in the podcast notes of this episode. So first of all, thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time today. It's been really an excellent discussion. And thank you to all of our listeners. Great to have you with us, and goodbye.